everybody. So, I want to say that if you hear there's a noise in the background, I'm hoping it's not too obnoxious, and you'll also see I have tubes coming out of my shirt. I'm pumping right now, so forgive me for that, but I needed to pump, and the husband is busy and the child is asleep, and so I figured it'd be a good time to secluster myself into my room and update you guys. So forgive me. I know the lighting's not great because there's like the bright window right behind me. As soon as I'm done pumping, I will move and you guys will be able to see a little bit better, but deal with me for this video. I'm going to try to bust out 3 videos. The third one is going to be the longest, and quite frankly it's going to be the one that you really want to listen to. My channel is not going to be anything like what it used to be, and so I will talk more about that in the third video. So this video is going to be my sort of delivery story, and then I will talk about 1 week postpartum in the second video, and in the third video will be the second week postpartum, but I don't know exactly what I'm gonna call that. So anyways, May 29th, I went in to the hospital for a scheduled C-section. If you guys have been watching me at all, I had been fighting for a VBAC and my body wasn't cooperating how the doctor wanted it to cooperate. He wanted me to be dilated to a 3 before he'd induce me, or I needed to go into labor on my own. And I will unabashedly tell you that I tried everything to have this baby. I even tried castor oil, which I know that has sort of mixed reviews. I did it and it didn't work, and there were no negative effects either, but it also didn't work. So I tried everything and the baby was not coming. The C-section was scheduled for 7:30 in the morning, and I needed to be there at 5:45. That weekend was the weekend we moved into this new place, so new background, and we lived really close to the hospital, so I let my husband and child sleep and I just walked over to the hospital by myself. I got there and I got into my gown and everything, and everyone was asking why I was having a C-section. I sort of explained to them, and all the nurses were pretty confused because they'd been there at several deliveries for VBACs that hadn't been 3 centimeters, that had been induced, and they just felt really bad for me that I wasn't getting to have the delivery I wanted, or at least try for it. And so the first nurse that kind of spoke up about it left, and she came back and she had a couple other nurses, and they all sort of rallied together and they were like, we'll talk to the doctor for you, and they checked me and I was a little over a 2, like barely over a 2, but it was no longer a stretch to get it to a 2, like it was a definite 2, and they checked me and I was a 2, and they're like, you're obviously making progress, you're just not a 3, and like what's a centimeter, and blah, blah, you know. So they were going to help me talk to the doctor about at least trying a induction, even if that was just breaking my water and seeing where that went, and then if nothing happened, then I was there for a C-section anyway. So I started feeling pretty hopeful, not gonna lie. The parents arrived at, I want to say like 6:45, 6:50, around there, and I kind of updated them, and they were on board with like, hey, as long as the baby was coming that day, they didn't really care how it got here, you know. So I started feeling kind of hopeful. The nurse came in to put all the monitors on me, like, because even with the C-section, at least both hospitals I've been at, they still monitor you before you go back at, like, you know, the contraction monitor, the heartbeat monitor, all that. And they put that on, and they couldn't find the heartbeat. And she tried, she moved it around, and we'd get like a real quick, and he was moving the whole time, so we weren't like concerned, but we'd get sort of a faint few beats, and then we'd lose it again. And so she called in another nurse, because she said sometimes someone's just not having a good day and someone will come in and find it right away. The other nurse came in and she found it right away, except she found it at the top of my stomach. So if you guys watched my 40-week update, 2 days prior to the C-section, I guess 3 days technically, it was a Tuesday that I went in, the C-section was a Friday, they had given me an ultrasound, and we found out how the baby was doing and all that, and he's head down, and in that 2-3 days he flipped breech. So now I had to have a C-section because he was breech, and oh, I don't even it's such a slim chance for them to move like that far into the pregnancy. I was 40 weeks in 1 day and he was breech. So I went ahead, signed the consent form, and this hospital is set up a little bit different than the last hospital I had, which the last hospital was smaller, and they also do things a bit differently. The last hospital I was given the catheter and I was wheeled down to OR. To this one, they hooked the IV in me, and then we all walked as like a group down to the OR room and just walked in the OR room, and I got up on the table myself and all of that. It was very, very odd. Anyways, to me it was. Maybe that's normal. Anyways, the dad came in with me to the OR room. The mom waited outside. She doesn't do very well with blood, and so she figured she would just wait. The dad, he waited outside while they got the spinal in me and draped me and everything, so he didn't get a flash of all of my pieces. And then he came in, and I have to say, he was wonderful. I was so nervous. I was like shaking, which is weird because I wasn't like that with the twins' C-section. I just was on the table and I was ready, and I was shaking, and the anesthesiologist was great. He was like putting blankets on me and, you know, trying to calm me down, and the dad was wonderful. He was talking to me, and I think he knew I was nervous, and I was trying to put on like a really brave, you know, like front, and I'm laying on this table, and he comes over and sits by me, and he just starts talking, and not even about the baby. He's just asking about like what Glenn wants to do for his career after he gets out of stuff, just like keeping my mind off of it. And I didn't really realize it at the time, but afterwards I was like, oh, he's kind of smart. He just totally took me into like a whole different mindset. So they did all the tests just like normal, like, can you feel this, can you feel this, and I couldn't, and so they started making the cuts, and it was weird. So with the spinal, you can't feel anything as far as there's no pain, but you can feel pressures and tugs and that sort of thing. And I could hear them cutting me, and I'm sorry if this is like too gross for somebody, but I could hear them cutting me, and I could hear them like, because there was like a little bit of scar tissue obviously on my, like the outer layer of skin because of my prior C-sections. I could hear them cutting through that, and that was really weird. I got a little nauseous, and I don't think they gave me anything for it because it went away, but they didn't ever tell me, like, oh, like last time when I got nauseous, I was pretty nauseous and they gave me Zofran and it went away, but this time I was a little nauseous, it went away, but they never told me they gave me anything. I don't think they did. But I started getting this horrible, if you've ever had like abdominal surgery, there's a pain, it's like, it's gas basically, but it like transfers up into like this area, and I always get it in my shoulders. I got it after the C-section, and yeah, I got it after the last C-section too, and it hurts. It's like super sharp, and it's just, ugh, I hate it. And it was like almost too much to stand, and so they gave me a shot of something in my IV and it took it away, but it made me like a little happy, you know what I'm saying? Like I was a little derpy after that. Anyways, I am way doing this out of order, sorry. So they cut this is all happening. The dad's he's talking to me, and I'm starting to feel better. I'm feeling calmer about everything, and it seems to be taking longer. And it's weird because I remember, like, very distinctly with the twins, maybe it was because they were twins and I was huge, I don't really know, but I just remember them saying first cut made, and then like within a minute they said baby A was out. And I heard them cutting. They told me they were cutting. And then there was just no baby. And there's still no baby, and I just felt really like, this is really delayed. So I have to take a time out really quick. Not everything was that smooth. So after we found out it was breech, we get ready for the C-section, and my doctor hadn't showed up yet. The anesthesiologist was there, but we had to wait for my doctor. He just wasn't there. He gets there, and then the anesthesiologist's computer crashes, and he can't do his job without the computer. And so we were supposed to have a cut time of 7:30, and we didn't get into the OR until 8:30. And then, you know, like, it was like, I don't know exactly when cut time was, but we had to put the spinal in and all that, you know. So anyways, I heard them say that he was stuck, and they were tugging on him to get out, and his head and shoulders had lodged underneath my ribs, which, if you remember, that's what the little girls did too, so apparently my ribs are really comfortable to be under. But they were pulling so hard to get him out. They could not get him out. I'm not even joking. They were pulling so hard that I felt like so like I'm laying on the table, and I felt like my midsection be pulled up off the table. Weirdest feeling ever, because again, I can only feel from like, basically I could feel my head and my hands, really. Like, I couldn't feel anything from like chest down. And so as far as like, you know, but I could feel my body like lift up. It was weird. Anyways, so they finally got him out. He was born 8:46 in the morning. This ER, or this OR room, was set up differently in comparison to the twins. The twins, they had all of the beds, warmers at the end of the room, like where my feet were, and so I didn't see any of that with the twins. The only visions I have of them were from pictures that other people took. But this one was set up so, like, I just turned my head, and there was Dad sitting here, and then right behind it was the warmer and everything where they were checking out the baby. And he was great. I heard him cry. The dad had forgot his camera, or forgot his phone, and so I gave him my phone, which, that was also funny. They allowed me to take my phone into the OR, so I was like texting and messaging during the procedure, and I like took a OR selfie. But it kind of helps. Like, it kept my head like not focused on that I was having another C-section and all of this was happening. And so anyways, I gave him my phone, and he sent a picture to the mom, and they weighed him, and the boy, who was only 7.5 pounds on ultrasound, was 8 pounds and 2 ounces in real life. He was 20 inches long, and his APGAR scores were great. They were, the first one was an 8 and the second one was a 9. There was nothing, the fluid was clear, there was no meconium, despite that he was technically overdue, and yeah, everything was great. The dad took a couple pictures and brought my phone over to me and showed me, and then he was handed the baby, and I just sort of expected him to leave, because that's what the twins' parents did. Like, after they got the baby, they just left, which, not bitter, I'm just saying that's what they did. And he came back and sat with me for a little bit, and showed me the baby, and he was like, oh look, this is Michelle, and I said hi to him, and they named him Charlie. I don't know if I told you that or not, but they did. They named him Charlie, and he is super cute. I have a picture of me holding him later that I will post. I don't really want to post any of the other ones. There's some pictures of him that I have when he was first born, but it shows all of his little bits, and I just don't feel comfortable posting someone else's child's bits on the internet. But he's super adorable, and my husband calls him the Scowler because every picture we have of him, he scowls, like just always scowling. Anyways, at one point, like this is like kind of blurry to me, and it's because I had that drug for like the gas pain, and I started getting like really loopy at this point. And I remember asking the doctor how my uterus was, and he said it looked okay, it was a little thin, and that he was stitching me up. And so when I turned back around, the dad was gone, and they had taken the baby to go see the mom. They finished stitching me up, and right as I was getting, I guess like the final, they finished putting everything inside, and then they were stitching up the outside, not stitching, internal staples again, the outside, and the dad actually came back in and told me that the baby was with the mom, and she was crying, and he was really great, and he just wanted to check on me. And again, it was just like, holy crap, you just had a baby and you're checking on me and you're really awesome. So I was very thankful for that because, like I said, I didn't have my husband there. My mom had been there for like over a week the week prior, and I just never had the baby, so she had left, so I just didn't have anybody, and so it was very, very nice to have him there. And yeah, so after I was all stitched up, they took me into recovery. I was there for a little over an hour, and the last like 15 or so minutes, the mom actually had come down and spent time with me while the baby was in the nursery getting like his hearing checked and all that sort of things that, you know, happens. And yeah, it was just really, it was great. I lost a little bit of more blood than I guess average. They said like usually 600 to 800 units is what a cesarean section mom loses, and I lost about 1,000, and so I was anemic, and that whole day really I was just so out of it. I'll explain that in a little bit, but anyways, lost a little bit more blood than normal. She walked up with me. They have another floor. It's the mom and baby floor, so like the postpartum floor. We both had separate rooms. They were right next to each other, so it was kind of nice. We didn't have too far to travel if we wanted to visit each other, and they actually visited me twice that day. I got to hold the baby twice, and it was really weird because this hospital, well, I think most hospitals, but they have bands, and the band signifies that you are allowed to take the baby somewhere, take him out of the nursery, put him in the nursery, blah, 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 you know, that's how they know whose baby belongs to who. And the policy at this hospital, which is really weird, and they need to change it, but is that the surrogate mom still has to have a band, and they only give out 2 bands. So I had a band, and the mom had a band, but the dad didn't have a band. And so he had, later in the afternoon, he had went back to the nursery for a procedure, and the mom had came to talk to me, and she was in there for probably like 20 or 30 minutes. And like within a couple minutes, like maybe even just like a minute, really, it was very quick, she left, and then a nurse came in, and she's bringing the baby, and I was like, okay. And they couldn't find her. They'd somehow like missed her. I don't know how, because we were right next to each other. Anyways. They missed her, and they couldn't leave the baby with the dad, so they brought the baby into me, and they were like, oh, we're just gonna leave him here. And she took him out of the bassinet thing and handed him to me. That was the first time I held him, and I knew the mom was okay with me holding him, but I felt really weird because I was like, I should be asking her to hold her child. And I know it was probably like something that doesn't occur a lot, and so I don't blame the nurse at all or anything like that. It was just kind of a weird situation. And so the nurse leaves, and I have this baby, and I text her. I'm like holding the baby, and I'm like one-handed kind of texting the mom. I was like, if you're looking for your child, he's with me. And they come in and I'm like, and I didn't say this, but I'm thinking like, I promise I'm not crazy. I'm not trying to steal your child. They just gave him to me. I don't know what to do. And so I just, so I kind of explained. They kind of laughed it off, and they took a picture of me, which is the picture I will show you, and then I handed the baby off. And really, it was just like the twins. Like, super cute to hold and adorable baby, but I just had nothing. Like, there was no connection. It was just holding someone's baby. And so yeah, I gave parents back the baby. We talked a little bit. They left again, and later that evening they came back one more time, held the baby one more time, and yeah, that was it. I held him twice the whole time that they were there. I had a pump supplied to me, so I pumped the colostrum. I produced like no colostrum this time. It was kind of ridiculous. Like, I think maybe altogether it was like an ounce over like 5 or 6 feedings that he got from me, and they were just giving it to him in these little syringes because, like, seriously, it was horrible. And my milk didn't come in until day like 3, and by that time they were gone. So yeah, anyways, I'm sorry, it is super hot in here, so if I start to melt, that is why. Anyways, yeah, and I was up and walking later that day. It hurt about equally to what the last C-section did, but I think I was more prepared for it. The only thing was that I felt a little more bruised up. I'm guessing that's from all the pulling and tugging they had to do. Like, I felt that someone had kind of like battered up my insides more so than I did with the twins. The twins was like the incision hurt and I was crampy from, you know, like my uterus contracting back down, but this one I actually just felt like achy, just like all over. Yeah, sorry, so not very exciting, huh? So yeah, that's pretty much that first day. That was my little birth story, and yeah, I will stop this. I'm gonna unhook myself from the pump and I will start recording my 1-week postpartum video for you guys, so stay tuned.